Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. We are here today to discuss the TABC-led operations that occurred on October 18th at 9 different Houston area bars. Before we begin, I'd like to list 3 priorities of this press conference. First, we will provide a high-level briefing of the operation, but please understand that the investigation is ongoing and some of the details are still not available and some we are not going to be able to share today because of the ongoing investigation. Number 2, we want to recognize and thank our task force partners, many of whom are standing here with me today and will also speak if needed. One that I'd really like to highlight is State Representative Charles Cunningham. Sir, thank you very much for your support in being here today. And third, and most importantly with any of these types of operations, is we are here to seek out information on potential human trafficking victims and ensure that we can help as many people as possible. To begin, TABC led simultaneous operations at these 9 locations with the help of the Houston Police, Harris County Sheriff's Office, DPS, the FBI, and many more agencies, to include the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance, which is housed here at the Houston Police Department. In total, over 200 people, both peace officers, criminal analysts, and victim services professionals from non-governmental organizations were involved. I am very proud to report that each operation was conducted safely and quickly. We identified over 80 women inside these locations who were possible victims of human trafficking. We also executed 4 arrest warrants related to the investigation. Each of these locations was then issued an emergency order in accordance with Alcoholic Beverage Code 11.614, which authorizes TABC to suspend a business for up to 90 days if the business would constitute a continuing threat to public safety. Also, none of this would have been possible without our partners. TABC is a relatively small agency with just over 200 peace officers. Therefore, the cooperation and sharing of resources was vitally important to the success of these operations. To quote J. Edgar Hoover, the most effective weapon against crime is cooperation. The efforts of law enforcement agencies with the support and understanding of the American people. Lastly, we are taking a very victim-centric approach to this investigation. You will hear from the TABC Victim Services Coordinator very soon. She will speak in both English and Spanish. She will provide additional information on how potential victims of human trafficking can report it to TABC or other agencies for help. Again, thank you for being here. I will turn this over to TABC Chairman Kevin Lilly for additional comments, and we will be available afterwards for questions at the end. Thank you, Chairman Lilly.
Yeah, right here. Thank you, Chief Swenson. My name is Kevin Lilly, for the record, L-I-L-L-Y. I am Chairman of the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. I want to thank all of you here. I want to thank all of our partners as well as members of the media to talk about this important operation and also this important situation. I really want to extend my gratitude to the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance, HATRA, which is essentially a task force designed to deal specifically with human trafficking, also with the partners that Chief mentioned, the FBI, Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Gonzalez, thank you, sir, District Attorney, DPS, FBI, Homeland Security, State Department. What's important about that is that this is a collaboration between state, federal, and local law enforcement. As the Chief alluded to, this crime is so large that we have to use every resource that we can, both at the federal, state, and local level. And today's operation, or this week's operation, I think was reflective of that. I think it also reflects TABC's broader mission that if we can cut off the lifeline for the cartels and the traffickers by shutting down the venues where these heinous crimes occur, that can have, I think, a very important effect. And as he mentioned, this was not an easy operation. If you can imagine one operation is complicated enough, imagine 9 simultaneous operations basically throughout the city of Houston at exactly the same time. Involved flawless precision and cooperation. This really was an extraordinary day for law enforcement in this country, and everyone behind me is to thank for it. And yet, despite the heroism of the officers who went into harm's way, knowing there could be armed individuals behind those doors, and were, despite that, this is still a drop in an ocean of human trafficking that exists. Recent study by the University of Texas said that there, at this moment, now, over 300,000 victims of human trafficking in the state of Texas, including 80,000 children. Let that soak in for a minute. 80,000 children being sexually abused for profit. That's about 1% of our population. If you extrapolate that to the United States, that number could be in the millions. It's a business model. Why is it so prevalent? Human trafficking is the most profitable underworld enterprise that exists. Now, narcotics is obviously much larger. However, if you think about narcotics have to be replaced. Narcotics have a supply chain. You use one, dispose it, and it has to be manufactured, distributed, and sold. The grotesque reality of human trafficking is that a human being is reusable again and again and again. And we are providing that inventory to the cartels. Most of you know that the process of coming across the border is completely controlled by the cartels. Federal, state, local officials will all agree on that point, that no one steps across the border without the cartels' involvement, and that involvement is monetary. If you are a family and you come across the border, you have to pay $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 for passage. That's money they don't have. These are poor individuals, some who have walked 500 miles, only to find out that they have to pay a toll that they don't have. And so what is the outcome? If you're a man, you'll pay it off by slave labor as an indentured servant. And unfortunately, if you're a girl, if you have a daughter, 15, 13, 16, she'll be told that she'll be working in a bar, as I'm sure many of these girls were, as a waitress, only to be enslaved in a perpetual life of misery and horror. What we have created, ladies and gentlemen, is not the American dream. But for these people, it's the American nightmare. I witnessed myself the deplorable conditions of these establishments. It was horrific. They look on the outside like a regular bar or a nightclub with a bar, a dance floor, pool tables. But behind them is a labyrinth of hidden rooms, cement floors, closet sized with soiled mattresses, an actual house of horrors hiding within the trap doors and secret doors of these establishments, where these young women run through an assembly line of horrific treatment and sexual abuse, some 30 times a day, from 4 in the afternoon until 2 in the morning. Imagine that. These are daughters. These are children. These are sisters going through this awful experience at the hands of these cartels. But the cartels operate in the shadows. You wonder, why does this take so long? They're sophisticated. They're well armed. They're well lawyered. They're well funded. They have surveillance. They're sophisticated foes. The amount of intelligence that has to go in, the amount of cooperation with all of our partners to take this to them is incredibly complicated. Ladies and gentlemen, like a shadow disease, the cartels are a parasite, and they have invaded our country. They are infecting our nation. They are the true existential threat to this republic, and they're operating everywhere. It's not just Houston. This is not a Houston problem. This is not a Texas problem. This is every city in the United States. What we dealt with on Friday is happening throughout our nation. And we need to be aware of this. We need to add to the American people an awareness of this horrific crime that's going on. For thousands of parents who have lost their children to fentanyl, the hands of the cartels, for the hundreds of thousands or more children now being locked in sexual slavery, it's too late. Their childhood has been stolen from them. No counseling, no treatment can ever take away the horrors that they've experienced. That ship has sailed off into the dark night. But we can act now. And this is not a political statement. This is not for Democrats or Republicans. This is for humanity. The open border has created the American nightmare. The sense of benevolence has actually turned its evil head upon these innocent victims. On November 5th, we're going to make decisions about county judges, about DAs, indeed all the way to the president. We have to elect individuals who will be tough on the cartels, who will be fearless, who will be focused, who will be dedicated. We must close our border. An open border is madness. We've experienced it. I saw evidence of it. Please take the politics out. We have to act now. We have to end catch and release. We have to deal with the cartels. We have to declare them the enemy of our country and take action. And these individuals behind me have bravely done so, and it is my distinct pleasure to now introduce my friend and our sheriff, Sheriff Gonzalez.
Chairman Lilly, thank you so much. Chief Swenson, David Witt, to all of the TABC team, thank you so much for leading this initiative. To all our partners, Chief Tin, thank you, and the Houston Police Department for hosting us here today and being a part of this, representative, and our DPS partners, and everyone gathered here. Human trafficking is something that is a near and present danger, and I think that this operation really highlights that. For far too long, there's some in our community that believe that this is something that is happening abroad, somewhere else, in some foreign country. It's happening here in our backyard. And that's why I think it's so important for us to have a laser focus, work collaboratively to try to put an end to human trafficking. And as the chairman stated, on this occasion, we were only able to help 80 persons, but I want to say that we helped 80 that particular day. But our commitment isn't going to end there. And for those operating, these human trafficking criminal organizations, we're coming after you. We've been focused at the Sheriff's Office. We have a proactive human trafficking team. We have a reactive human trafficking team. We've led 6 operations here in the last couple of years that we proactively go and seek runaways that have fled from home because we know that they are easy targets for these cartels and these human traffickers that will take advantage of their home situation and try to, again, bring them into criminality. And so for us, it was an honor to participate in this initiative. I really want to commend TABC for taking a holistic approach. You heard the chairman state about victim services. You're going to hear from them here soon. It's not just about enforcement only. We know to really make a positive impact on this issue. It's not just about enforcement. We can never arrest our way out of issues with only that one singular approach. We've got to make sure that we're providing the support needed so that these survivors can continue and have a better quality of life, that they can deal with the trauma, the horrific things that they've seen and experienced because they've fallen prey to human trafficking and hopefully be able to, again, get their lives back on the right direction. I want to commend our team. We have Captain Perry, we have Major Suarez that are here, as well as Lieutenant Johnny Reyes, Lieutenant Haberlin on our team that also helped out, Sergeants Alds and Castro that were significant. We made up a part of that 200 member team of law enforcement and professionals that came together to make an impact. I also want to bring your attention to this map real quick, because if you could see it, no part of the county is spared. If you could see it, it can go in many parts. And this one we focused on East and Northeast Harris County, but I guarantee you, and we know far too well what happens out here on Bissonnet, it's happening everywhere. We have 1,700 square miles, and all of it is a potential target. We're a port city. We're a major corridor for railroads and highways. And so we're very vigilant of that and very aware of it. And so we're going to continue to double down on these initiatives. Whenever Chairman Lilly calls, we're there. We're here. We're there to support. We want to do everything we can to root this out of our community. We want to make sure that we're raising awareness. And I also want to say that this isn't just something that law enforcement can attack alone. We need our community to be involved, to call in those tips, look for those safe houses, look for those operations. Do not patronize these businesses that are having these children because you're supplying, you're contributing to that supply and demand situation that really makes it so lucrative. You know, it's against the law. We're going to find you out, and we're going to make sure that we hold you accountable, and that we trust that the criminal justice system will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. So again, very honored to be a part of that. Want to thank all the partners here, all the ones that can be in this room right now that put their life on the line that night to go into these dark quarters, these dark places, that want to operate in darkness and the shadows to make sure that they conduct this criminal activity. They put their life in harm's way to go out and root this crime from our communities. There are also a lot of narcotics trafficking that happens in this establishment. There's a lot of intoxicated drivers that leave these establishments as well. These after-hour clubs, these sport bars, these cantinas, these lounges. Call them what you may, it's still the same thing. It's a criminal enterprise, and it's not going to be tolerated. Just briefly in Spanish. Estamos aquí para apoyar esta iniciativa que inició la organización estatal de TABC. El Chairman Lilly ya anunció un poco de la investigación. Hubieron más de 200 personas involucrados en esta operación que ocurrió este viernes pasado. Pudimos rescatar a 80 personas víctimas de trata de personas. Y es algo que tenemos que parar. No es algo que solamente pasa en el extranjero, pasa aquí también. Ven aquí que 9 bares, clubs, cantinas fueron cerradas ese día y pudimos rescatar, como mencioné, 80 víctimas. Que ojalá que les podamos dar ahora los servicios necesarios para que puedan continuar con su vida en una mejor manera. Van a escuchar de los servicios que se le van a ofrecer a las personas, y nosotros estamos muy enfocados para tratar de disminuir la trata de personas aquí en nuestra comunidad. A veces es trata de personas por cuestiones se vende el sexo, y también a veces es el labor. Entonces los carteles toman ventaja de esas personas que están tratando de buscar el sueño americano, y toman ventaja, y después obviamente tienen que pagar mucho dinero para tratar de salir de esa situación y por ser trasladados aquí, y nosotros estamos conscientes de eso. Entonces fue un gran honor contribuir y colaborar con todas las agencias que están aquí al nivel estatal, de TABC, DPS, Houston Police Department, la oficina de alguacil, y otros que están aquí también, y le agradezco a todos los que fueron parte de esta iniciativa. Muchas gracias.
Thank you to the sheriff. Very, very appreciative of your support and your help with these operations. Next, I would like to bring to the podium HPD Executive Chief Ben Tin.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Tin, last name T-I-N, Executive Assistant Chief for the Houston Police Department. That's the toughest part. After two great leaders have spoken, by the time I get to me, is I pretty much going to repeat and reiterate the same thing, but it is important. The reality is this is typically a joint operation, but I don't want to steal the thunder away from TABC. The agents have put years and years of investigation into this. It's safe to assume that they have time away from the family, burn a lot of midnight oil to take us where we need to be on Friday. Just be mindful on Friday, last Friday, while most people go enjoy the Friday with the family, those agents were out there executing those warrants, put themselves in harm's way. So I just want to give those agents and TABC a shout out. But the second thing I do want to talk about is to reiterate what Sheriff and Chairman said, is the cooperation and the integration of our resources, here. I know the bad guys know this, we have some staffing challenges, but the reality is, hey, we are united here. So as the Chairman and Sheriff mentioned, we have the local, the county, the state, the federal, and all those resources. We're going to join force to make sure we integrate and synchronize to correct a problem that we have, in our country. Now, I definitely don't want to leave out, those NGOs that were involved, and also the victim services personnel, because the sophistication of this particular investigation, sometimes, like Sheriff just mentioned, we just can't go and arrest our way out of a problem. The reality is we have all those extra resources from victim services to our NGOs out there to support the initiative, meaning the fact that after the initial contact, they were actually out there, provide all those resources, provide all those forensic resources they have, interview they may have, to truly have a center, a victim center, and a trauma-informed way to help those victims and survivors. So I don't want to, undermine their role. Their role is extremely critical with all the NGOs and all the victim services personnel. Now, I did not conduct those interviews, but I can only imagine, what those stories they may get. But the last piece I do want to talk about is our community. Despite our best efforts, and all the local, state, county, federal resources join, we at best have the number in thousands. What I ask of you is the community to be aware of this problem, to make sure you be the ears and eyes, because you are the first and the last line of defense. Collectively, we are in the thousands. But as a city, if we all be aware of what we're looking for, we're in the millions. A million sets of eyes can look out there to look for stuff that report to us, right? But with that said, Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to participate in your operation. Then I definitely want to give you guys a shout out on your operation.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Very well said. Next, we'll bring to this podium the TABC Victim Services Coordinator, Rachel Wellington. I'd like to say something as she makes her way up here. Rachel, we actually first met Rachel. She was working for one of the non-governmental organizations that we spoke about today. And she did such a fantastic job, we decided we needed her on our team. And we actually applied for a grant through the governor's office and received that grant. So she is actually funded, and I'd like to note that to the governor's office, but the legislature, their support in this and having a victim-centric approach. So turn it over to Rachel.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Wellington, RACHELWELLINGTON. First, I want to start off a bit with repeating a bit of what was said. Human trafficking is such a complex crime. It has so many facets that there is really no discrimination of who a victim can be. But one thing that's really in common with victims is their vulnerabilities. Traffickers know how to prey on victims' vulnerabilities, whether that be poverty, a broken home, looking for love, false relationships that have devious intentions. And it's easy for females to fall prey into this crime. And some things that are in common as well in how traffickers, and I speak for potential victims out there, is first they target their vulnerabilities and give them false promises of hope of a better life, especially if they are at ends meet, if they are looking for family or looking for community. They know the words to say. They know how to really get someone to trust them. As soon as the trust is there, that's where the exploitation may begin, whether it's sex or labor trafficking. And one thing that's really huge with human trafficking and why it's hard for victims to make outcries or to ask for help, it's the psychological manipulations that traffickers give to their victims. This is a very psychological crime where it takes time for us as law enforcement to build cases, for us to build rapport with victims, to gain their trust again. They trusted once and it backfired. For them to trust again, it takes work and takes dedication, not just from us, as was mentioned several times. I am just one person working here at TABC as Victim Services Coordinator, but it really takes a village with HETRA. And we partner with NGOs, especially for what happened Friday night. I could not speak with more than 80 people, but we had a team of dedicated personnel with YMCA International, BCF Common Thread, law enforcement victim services as well were there. And they were huge support for us to be able to assess for any human trafficking basic needs that the victims may have. And once we do, after we finish interviewing these victims, we provide services and we provide any support that they may need after the fact. We know that it may take time for them to ask for help, but when they do, we're ready for safe shelter, for basic needs, for mental health, medical care. Houston is well capacitated to support victims And we're very happy with our partners to be able to support us in this endeavor. But if you are a victim or know someone that has encountered any victimization, there are numbers to call, especially with the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which I'll repeat. It is 888-3737-888. You can also use a text message through 233-733. Now we repeat this message again in Spanish. Buenos días, mi nombre es Raquel Wellington. Soy la coordinadora de servicios a víctimas de la Comisión de Bebidas Alcohólicas aquí en el estado de Texas, o TABC. TABC es reconocido como una agencia policíaca estatal y lo que nosotros hacemos es querer ayudar a víctimas de trata. Tiene varios nombres, puede ser trata de personas, tráfico humano, trata de blancas, como es reconocido en los países de uno. Y en realidad el tráfico humano es un crimen bien complejo, donde tiene varios elementos, donde no hay discriminación de quién puede ser víctima. Muchos de los traficantes usan las vulnerabilidades de víctimas. Puede ser de la pobreza, puede ser de querer un futuro mejor, puede ser una relación amorosa con diferentes intenciones. Y ya cuando uno cae en esas falsas promesas, comienza la explotación, en hacer cosas que no querían hacer. Puede ser explotación laboral o explotación sexual. Y lo que hemos visto en estos tipos de casos, como el viernes, se ve infelizmente la prostitución forzada y también el fichar con clientes. Y estamos aquí para poder traer estas noticias y educación de que hay ayuda. El trata de personas es un crimen súper psicológico. Sabemos que hay mucho miedo de hablar, sabemos que hay mucho miedo de pedir ayuda. Hay muchas manipulaciones psicológicas, especialmente cuando hay vulnerabilidades, cuando hay amenazas, cuando hemos escuchado mucho usan los hijos para que sus mamás sigan haciendo lo que no quieren hacer. Y estamos aquí para ayudar. Hay apoyo, hay protecciones. Trabajamos con agencias sin fines de lucro. Esta noche ellos pudieron estar ahí, como el YMCA Internacional, el BCFS, tal como nosotros con la policía. Y realmente queremos pasar este mensaje a la comunidad, que si hay ayuda, nos importa la salud de cada uno de ustedes. Sin pensar en sus estatus migratorios, realmente hay protecciones debido a la ley de protección contra las víctimas de trata. Si usted sabe de alguien que ha pasado por este crimen, si usted mismo ha pasado por algo, sí hay un número nacional que uno puede llamar para poder obtener ese apoyo. Y lo voy a decir aquí, es el 888-3737-888. También pueden usar el número de texto 233-733. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Rachel. Fantastic work. The contact information that she provided, which was the old Polaris number, which is now called the Human Trafficking Hotline, is a fantastic way to reach out. DPS also has a fantastic way to report these types of crimes. Their iWatch program, which works really well. TABC also, through our online portal, we have where you can file a complaint and you can be specific on the human trafficking allegations. And at the end of the day, any police department, you can call 911 and report suspicious activity. So please be the eyes and ears and report this type of activity so that we can take action. That concludes today's presentation. We're now available for question and answers. I'll do my best to answer any questions, and if I don't know, I'll pass it off to somebody that does.
Yes, can you tell us a little bit about the investigation that led to the operation?
Yes. As TABC, we conduct investigations into allegations of criminal activity at all licensed establishments. So we had received allegations of various human trafficking related allegations at these establishments. We conducted investigations into it, found evidence, and took action. I can't go into the details any more than that, though.
In terms of, I know you said you can't go into the investigation too much, but were you working with people? Did victims come forward? What was the tip to help really lead to at least cracking down on these 9 bars?
All long-term investigations are cooperative with other agencies through tips, people coming forward. This has been a long-term investigation into organized crime. So anytime that we do those types of investigations, we're working with other agencies and working with, it might be, you know, even suspects or victims, and building that case. So, yes, ma'am.
When you describe some of the conditions that I guess these girls were found in, they're deplorable. Can you talk about how you all were able to uncover that, the reaction, I would imagine, from agents who saw them in those conditions?
Sure. I won't talk about these 9 locations because of the ongoing, but this, as a lot of the speakers spoke about this morning, this isn't the first time we've found locations like this. This is the first time we've taken such a large, quick action on so many locations at once. But it is deplorable. It is quite disgusting. We find hidden rooms quite frequently in the back where sex acts are occurring. They don't occur out in the public, so you'll have what appears to be a normal bar, but then a deal is made with a female patron or a male patron at times, and for money, for exchange of money, and they will go to a back room and engage in sex, and then come out usually 10, 15 minutes, and it's not a sanitary situation. In fact, it's quite horrific, to be honest with you. Yes.
When we talk about the victims, what happens to them now? Are they getting the help they need? Where are they essentially?
I don't want to get into these victims, but I will say, having worked human trafficking investigations, it is one of the most difficult investigations that I think law enforcement can ever get into, other than maybe homicide investigations or things of that nature. And it's because the victims a lot of times do not see themselves as victims, right? They're either from runaways from a house that they're trying to escape. They're undocumented immigrants that have come to this country looking for opportunities, and then we come in and we're explaining to them that you're a victim, and they don't necessarily see that because where they came from, this is actually better. So getting those victims to come forward and actually make outcries is one of the most difficult things that we have in these types of investigations.
Out of the 80 that were potential victims, were any of them underage, and if so, how many?
I honestly don't know, and even if I did know, I couldn't share that information. But I honestly don't even know if we've even determined how many were underage. Of course, if they're undocumented immigrants, they might have fake passports or fake identification. So I don't know yet. We're still pretty fresh into this.
What's your biggest message to these bars who are essentially masking themselves as bars, but it's organized crime happening with human trafficking behind closed doors?
It won't be tolerated. The legislature provided TABC with specific money, I believe it was 2 sessions ago, and made human trafficking one of our primary objectives to focus on and eradicate from the alcoholic beverage industry, and that is what we are going to do.
How many more do we suspect that this could be going on in our city?
Oh, I don't want to speculate. Yeah, I don't.
What are the names of the 4 people who were arrested?
Can't share that.
They were arrested Friday.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The charges, at least, can you share that?
I'm not even sure, so I don't want to speculate. They would be human trafficking related, drink solicitation, prostitution. All the charges were in that arena, but I'm not sure whether they were felonies or misdemeanors.
Right, one more question, please.
No more questions.
How do you differentiate someone who's being trafficked via, as opposed to somebody who's doing it of their own free will?
Interviews. Yeah, definitely, whether there's money exchange too, some type of exchange between the trafficker and the victim. I mean, that's going to be the primary indicator there. It doesn't necessarily always have to be money, but some goods or services that are exchanging hands from the trafficking victim and the trafficker. But a lot of times that's part of the interview process that comes afterwards. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Are you all able to give the name of the cartels involved, or is that?
No, sir. No, sir. Thank you.
How is their role in this, like, he mentioned that they're like the masterminds behind all this. Can we draw the connection between the two?
Money. Money drives everything. I think Chairman Lilly said it very well. An analogy is we're finding also illegal importation of alcohol coming into the country. It has nothing to do with this case, but it's because of the money, because they can bring in illegal alcohol and they can sell it for a higher cost. They can bring in people and they can abuse those people over and over and over again and make more and more money. It's all about money, whether it's drugs, people, illegal alcohol. It's all about the money.
How difficult will it be to take them on? They're pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, this is an example of what it takes. I mean, we have, you know, everybody from DPS to our state representatives to the sheriff's department to locals to NGOs to victim services. I mean, it takes a lot of cooperation, a lot of coordination, a lot of intelligence sharing, which I think is very important. That we don't operate in silos, and to take out organizations, it's a team effort.
200 was about 200 agents involved?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And no one was hurt in this process?
No, ma'am.
Agents?
No, ma'am. We had each location under our control, for lack of a better term, within 10 minutes. Thank you.